Listen, if a Democrat did this shit, they would be screaming for impeachment, and you know it. If anybody other than Trump was doing this shit, they would be screaming for impeachment, and you know it. Is disobeying the Supreme Court enough for y'all to stop pushing the goalpost? All the far-right MAGA influencers on this app is disobeying a unanimous decision from the Supreme Court enough for y'all to say, hey, maybe everybody else could have been right. What is that? Prove to the world that's watching this bullshit unfold, prove to them that he is a part of MS-13 or Tren del Agua or some violent terrorist gang and he's just committed terrible acts. Prove it. Where is the evidence? That's why due process is fucking important. Why would you come out and say, hey, we fucked up? And then when a judge orders you to have him back within, I think it was 72 hours. And then ultimately the Supreme Court says, yeah, Trump, you definitely have to go fucking get him. The Department of Justice comes back and says, oh, well, by facilitate, they mean if he makes it back here, then we'll change his immigration status, but we're not going to go get him. Y'all put him the fuck there. They're saying, oh, we don't have the power to go into a sovereign country. And then the leader, whoever the fuck was in that White House meeting today, whoever's over the El Salvador prison, he said, yes, I don't have the power to do that. Or, oh, he said, I could release him in El Salvador, but then why would we release a terrorist in our own country? We came all this way when we used to be the most dangerous country. You want us to go back? Where's the due process? Why do we have world leaders snatching people up, sending them to a different fucking country, putting them in a maximum security prison that nobody leaves? And then when the highest court in the land says, go get him, you know you fucked up. He says, I can't. But if he makes it back here somehow, sure, he can come home. And you're still defending that? Are you fucking kidding me? That man has a wife and a daughter. They snatch him up, send him to El Salvador in a fucking prison. No due process, no evidence. Just call him a gang member. And then they say, oh, I know that the Supreme Court unanimously told me to go get him. And I said on camera that I respect the Supreme Court and I would follow an order from the Supreme Court. But then in real time, they're saying, oh, can't do it. It's a test. It's a test. It's a test to see what will happen if we disobey the Supreme Court. What will happen? And then they're talking about building more prisons to send U.S. citizens to. There's no way the country voted for this. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. You want us to believe that you're only going to deport the worst of the worst criminals in America that have a citizenship here. You're only going to deport those when you literally just admitted to wrongfully deporting somebody in this whole attack on illegal immigrants thing. You want us to trust that? You just sent a fucking father and a husband to a maximum security prison, admitted to it, and are actively disobeying an order from the Supreme Court to go and get him. And then you want Americans to cheer for you when you say, yeah, we're going to build more prisons and send the worst U.S. criminals to those prisons too. Impeach that motherfucker. Impeach that motherfucker by tomorrow.